What's up guys, and welcome back to another EVE Online video. Today it is the first day of Capsuleer Day 2022 event, which is pretty exciting. It's a huge event every year, and this time it's been tied in with all the stuff that's happening with the Drifter crisis and all that good stuff. This video is going to be focusing on the high-sec combat site, the Reckoning Sleeper Forge. So we're going to dive into that now, and we'll explain stuff as we go. The competition for this site is incredibly high. I've been jumping all over high-sec trying to get one that I hope I will be able to do solo, but I expect someone to jump into system and join me, but fingers crossed. So it is a combat site. I am currently flying a Cerberus, which is obviously a heavy assault cruiser. The recommended in the patch notes, the recommendation is that we use up to a battle cruiser. At least a battle cruiser is how it's been described. If you've got reasonable skills, that's overkill, and so is using a heavy assault cruiser. I've run one of these in a Stratios already, and it's nice and easy. But basically, because the competition is high and people will be running them in battleships and things, because I don't think they're restricted, the DPS you output is a big thing. So tank isn't really a problem. I'm over repping massively, of course, but it's not really a problem. It's the DPS output, because we are fighting sleepers in this site, and sleepers have very good tank. Now, if you don't spend much time in wormhole space, you probably won't know much about sleepers, but basically they have no shield, but they have an awful lot of armor and decent resists, which normally go up depending on the size of the ship. And yeah, so you've got to get through that armor. Once you get down to hull, they melt, but you've really got to get through that armor. They also have Omni Tank and Omni Damage, so it really doesn't matter what your damage type is. And when you're setting up your ship, you will want to be considering making it as Omni Tanked as possible. So you'll see in my Cerberus fit, where's my fitting? We've got kind of across the board tank. Obviously there's a focus in thermal and kinetic just because of the racial bonuses, but I've put EM rigs in to bring up that EM hull because their damage is uniform damage type. Now, I accidentally for this fit got heavy assault missiles. I actually meant to get rapid lights. I think I wanted to go for, because while the DPS from rapid lights is lower overall, the damage application is a lot higher, and most of the rats are frigates. You got frigates and cruisers and destroyers, and then in the very last wave there's a battleship. But I think the quickest way to run these would be to use something like rapid lights, and then just take a little bit longer over the boss. But we'll see how we go. In order to counter it, I have gone with faction missiles for this section, and then of course I'll go rage for the boss or anything bigger, because it may be battlecruiser spawn. When we're talking about the rats, their name determines what they do, like a lot of times. So stirrings just do DPS. If you see like an enervating or something, that will do neuting, and so on. Risen Toxotai, I haven't been able to figure out exactly what the Risen does yet, other than maybe just DPS again. It doesn't seem to have any EU war with it, and it's just maybe a naming convention for the sleepers. Unusually for sleepers, these guys have bounties, which is nice. Sleepers don't normally in J space. They drop blue loot, but because these guys aren't dropping any loot, they have given them bounties, which is quite nice. So we're not just like burning time having to kill them. The exception is the boss, who does drop actual loot, particularly to do with the event site, on the whole. The other thing with the layout of the site is the first one I ran at least was 2 waves in this room, so we'll see if that happens again. But there's also an acceleration gate that at the moment is just indestructible and you can't really do anything to it. When you clear those 2 waves, looks like it is going to be 2 waves. Let's pull my hornets. When you clear the 2 waves, that will activate into a newly constructed acceleration gate. So we've got an enervating this time, but they're all warping out. Okay, let's just relax, rep up a touch. I forgot to. Oh yeah, my just be aware. My reward track is bugged. It says I've got a reward, but there's nothing in here. Like I've just entered one of these and it's not doing anything. If that happens, you need to log out and back in for it to fix itself, which is pretty annoying. Because now I'm not going to get anything in my reward track for running this site, which is a shame. All right, let's get. He comes in close enough to apply webs on the enervating, so we should be able to kill them quite quickly. But you can see they are neuting, so things with enervating in the name do neut. The rats do go after your drones. I did read in the patch notes that in a couple of the sites the specific rats are more likely to go after your drones than others. In this case, I mean, maybe it's the stirrings, but probably not. Looking at what just happened, everyone has decided to go after them. So, but yeah, in some of the sites there is a specific name rat that is more likely to go after your drones than others, according to the patch notes. While we're working through this isn't the only site, of course, that's in during the event. There are loads of them. There's something for everyone all across New Eden. Like there's mining activities to be done. There's both in high sec and low sec, I believe, maybe everywhere, and null sec. Yeah, mining activities. There's obviously high sec ratting, solo ratting, low sec solo ratting. There are big fleet, high end fleet content where you need 10 to 15 skilled pilots to run them. So there's all sorts of content for everyone to look out for it. If you go into your event track, you'll be able to see some of the names. So this is obviously a Reckoning Sleeper Forge in high sec, or you've got a Foundry in low sec. Sleeper Reserve is hacking, I think. Yep, probe scanner and relic analyzer to complete, and which you can do solo, of course. Vigilance Point in Wormhole Space or Poshvin, so that those 2 areas have something going on, and then you get into the fleet stuff as well. Although what's that one? The Observatory Infiltration. Sorry, that's the Reckoning. Oh, so there's 2 scanning types: Sleeper Reserve and Observatory Infiltration for hacking. So that's quite cool. I'll probably do a bunch of hacking. The other nice thing is the mining. The other nice thing is it looks like the event, as long as the event track works, it's not going to take too much effort to climb the track. So I got to 55 points just by running one of these sites, and you only need like 1,050 to get to your praxis. There's 100 plex on there, so it's all quite nice. Good. Dravenol won't be joining me because he is scanning. Right, keep shooting, please. Going to get through a lot of missiles with this, so that's worth bearing in mind. And it is, you can see it's quite slow. Maybe it's worth finding something with better damage application on small stuff. I've seen a Munin, for example. People, why has he just decided to warp off now? The warping in and out they do is really annoying, because when they swap to targeting your drones, if your drones are kind of like 20 or 30 kilometers away from them, then they will warp out and back in to aggress your drones. Now that I've pulled my drones, he's going to have to rethink where he's going to warp in and warp back. Eventually will warp back on top of me. But it's really frustrating, because like how much time has just been wasted waiting for that to happen. But we should be able to kill him, and then we go into the second room, second and final room, to kill the boss. The loot is interesting, but I'll cover that more when we get there. Yeah, as I was saying, what are people flying? I've seen a Gnosis, I've seen Gnosi. There's healers flying around who I think would be good. The drone aggro is serious, but I'm genuinely considering flying a healer with Caldari Navy Wasps. No, Caldari Navy Vespers, because the tank they have when you're flying a healer is insane. So that might be a way to go. There we go, here's our gate. So let's just fly over there quickly, stop those things to get some cap back. We will reload and activate gate. Not quite close enough. But yeah, people are also flying battleships, so I've seen a rattlesnake so far. It's surely only a matter of time before marauders start dropping into the sites. And at the moment there are not many. They don't spawn very frequently. So, you know, there's one in here that I've been running. We're 11 minutes into the video and nothing else has spawned. So they're not spawning frequently and the competition is really high. In this room I like to drop an MTU. And for the first couple of waves I'm just going to orbit the MTU. I'm going to go after the Wakeful Sentry first because it does more damage than we'd like, and then when everything else lands we'll take the frigates out. So yeah, there is a sentry in this room and it does have quite high damage output and again difficult to kill, so that will take a minute to get through. Okay, this is weighted towards EM thermal. That's worth bearing in mind, and we'll double check the battleship as well to make sure that it does have Omni Tank, but maybe worth biasing yourself to EM thermal if you don't have amazing tank because of the sentry tower. But like tank really isn't a problem. Like you can see what we're doing here. I only have the EHP isn't very high. Where is it? EHP of 17,000. And like I'm not having to rep very often at all. And when I do rep, it's, what does it actually rep me at? 108, so quite high, 108 a second, but like that's a way overkill. So you know, this has a Dread Garistas, large shield booster, don't need to faction it, and you can fly a ship with much worse tank and higher DPS to get through it faster. But can never be too careful when you're trying to get to grips with new sites, when there isn't YouTube content on it yet, of course. So it's always fun trying to be one of the first out there. Drivenol we were confident in. CL might join us. Let's see where we end up there. But we're nearly there. These two, and then it'll be the battleship spawn. I am going to reload to Rage for the battleships, partly because I want to save some of my faction ammo, as that's going to be my main damage type. I've brought javelins because eventually the battleship heads out to about 60-65 kilometers range. I'm not sure how fast they travel, so we might be able to keep up with them, at least for long enough for the javelin range to be sufficient. But I only have a 61 kilometer range with the javelins. So if he pulls at range and stays out of range, then I've got a problem. But we'll cross that bridge where we come to it, and the plan is to burn, try and orbit him or burn to him to keep that gap closed, so that we can use Rage and then Javelin for as long as possible. Yeah, even the destroyer, like look how long it takes the destroyers to go down. It's crazy. Like, and you know, it's not, I'm not doing a lot of damage, but it's also not tiny sums. I really should have had my drones on him, I suppose. Let's do that. Drones, 2 missiles, and then we reload.
A module has run out of charges.
Yeah, the Risen top saddle was uniform. It's actually not like a completely uniform incoming damage, because I think they have different weapon types. So you'll see, oh no, that's all 4. Okay, so the Risen is just a straight up all 4 damage with 1 weapon, so that's fine. Some wormhole sleepers have like missiles and guns, and the missiles will do like thermal EM as big alpha hits, and then the guns will do explosive kinetic kind of constantly. And so we really want to make sure you don't have reactive hardeners and stuff on, because you'll basically make yourself reactive against 2 damage types, and then suddenly you'll get smacked with a huge alpha from the other one. Okay, return you to drone bay, because otherwise you'll just get attacked. We're going to burn out to you, reload to rage, and let's have, as we burn, let's have a look. Okay, omni damage, omni tank, so that's fine. We've reloaded to rage. Let's lock you up and start shooting. Need to get you to lock me so that I can put my drones on you as well. There we go. And we're just going to slowly work our way through him. He's not traveling very fast, so we should be able to close the gap. His incoming damage is oh yeah, Omni with the weapon system again, which is nice, same as the cruiser. And at the moment it's not hitting very hard. Our SIG should be small. We're an afterburner fit cruiser, so our SIG should be small, so we can survive a couple of volleys and then rep up, no problem. We're burning through them nice and fast, so this should be over nice and quickly. I dropped the MTU because of my habit with the Stratios, but actually I'm going to be in nice and close, and it's just going to be annoying now to have to go back and get my MTU, so I'm not going to be using my MTU from here on out. I can just scoop stuff from the wreck and go, instead of having to worry about what the MTU is doing, because it's going to now try and take that away from me. Let's see, is it going to pull it before I get there? Yes, it is. Ugh, sorry everyone. So we're going to burn up to the MTU again just to see what the loot is. Did the path fix itself? No, it didn't, so I'm going to have to log out. But that's the site. It's actually quite nice and simple. If you can find a quiet system with one in, I'm really pleased I was able to get across to here. I've been hopping around all over the place for the last little while. Let's check out the loot, because the loot is cool. Basically, there are some things specific to the event. So part of the event is the five drifter wormholes. These are specific named wormholes that have always been kind of bizarre and mysterious. They're being invaded by the empires as the outcome of the last stage of the event, or various factions. So Kaldari, Triglavian, Amar, I believe, are 3 of the 5 that are going for it. And basically some of the loot here is to be able to get blueprints and things to produce filaments for accessing those wormholes and things. So here we go. So we've got let me bring it into my bay so that we can I don't care about that stuff. Scoop you. Okay, and let's have a quick look at what this is, because you'll have seen that the value didn't look very good, but that's because of where we are in the event at the moment. But this Sanctified Vidette Filament Blueprint, this is where everything ties together. So the mining event site puts us, it gets this stuff, the Elutrium, you get through the mining sites. Then you've got the blueprint, which we've just got, and it produces a filament. This specifically goes to the Vidette wormhole, which is now referred to as the Sanctified Vidette since the end of the event, and it will allow up to 15 people to conduit in there. And we've also got this thing, which I do not know what this is for. Narrowband emission amplifier. It doesn't say. I guess there's something we have to hand in to the factions in the drifter wormholes. That's my guess. but I don't know for sure at this stage. You can also get boosters and skins, and this, again, not sure what it's for, so my assumption is handed in for rewards with one of the factions. But none of this stuff has any value yet because it's too early on the what's it called, on the event for the market to have reacted. Same with the electron spin resonance. This has been in game a bit longer, but again, it's you'll hand that in for rewards in the right locations. All right, guys, that's it. That's the high-sec combat site for the Capsuleer Day event, the Sleeper Forge. Thanks very much for watching. Good luck out there. If you want to see more of the event stuff, I will be running as much of the solo stuff as I can, the hacking, the mining, trying to get into low sec and things for these events. But I also would like to take part in some of the fleet content. So if you want to see that, I will be trying to record and produce more videos in the coming days. So make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see where we end up. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.